guys, good morning. Happy Friday. Happy July 5th. I am so happy that you are here joining us. This video project has been kind of pushed around a little bit. We normally do Thursday afternoons at 5. We were shooting for Wednesday. Facebook had its issues. It was just not agreeing with us or anybody else out there. So here we are. It is Friday morning. It is 10 a.m. here on the eastern side of the United States, which is kind of early for me. I never look this good at 10 a.m., but you know, I love you guys, so I'm here for it. And it is really early for everybody over on the West Coast, so good morning to you. Pour yourself a cup of coffee, and we are going to make a really cool pair of earrings today. I'm really excited because I get to show off the new Aquamarine, sorry, I get a little tongue-tied there, Aquamarine Swarovski strands. Good morning, Emily, from Jesse James Beads, of course, because that's where we are, right? So you guys, these are so pretty. We're gonna use a little bit of both of these strands. Check these out. Let me turn my light out so you get a better look at these. So I'm going to show this to you up close before we get started with the project, of course. So there's this strand, has these beautiful like cone-shaped beads, and then we've got another strand that is just gorgeous. Look at the little bicones on this guy. I don't know, I think those might be my favorite beads on that. And then there is a mini mix, and it's that two-tiered thing that you guys absolutely love. So there's like a large pendant here, and then some smaller beads, and then this guy's got some tassels and some charms and some more beads, just a lot of really beautiful things. And I am going to be working with those for you guys today. They are limited edition, so get those now. They are part of the Swarovski Psychology of Color collection, and Jesse James Beads does a different color every month. Last month for June was tangerine, and I'm actually going to do a project following this project using the tangerine. I'll tell you more about that at the end, but the color for July is the aquamarine. Really beautiful. And I wrote down, let's see, so aquamarine inspires, and well, it inspires relaxation. It represents coolness, responsibility, softness, and trust. It's just really just kind of an all-around kind of soothing color to have and make jewelry out of, plus the fact that it's just beautiful. I mean, who doesn't love a good blue? And this is a very oceanic blue, so this is one that you can definitely mix with your Hawaii collection if you wanted to, for sure. It all works really well together. And then those silks, there's some silks that look really beautiful with it as well. I meant to pull those out ahead of time, but it is 10 o'clock in the morning and my brain's still trying to catch up, so anyway, we're gonna make some dangle earrings. Sorry, did not mean to hit the table. You guys get a little shimmy shake there. Before I get started though, I do want to remind you there is a red, white, and blue sale going on the Jesse James Beads website. There's a 30% off code. That's 4th of July, all no spaces, to get 30% off of any of the beads in the red, white, and blue collection. So definitely take advantage of that if you're going to go and grab these Swarovski. Get 30% off of the red, white, and blue beads, that collection there too. Definitely a good sale going on there. I love when you can shop on the weekends. You know, you save up all week and then you go for the weekend, and usually there's like a phenomenal sale going on. Okay, so enough chitter chatter. Let's get to these earrings because I'm really excited about them. Turn my light back on so you guys can see me a little bit better. Hey Sue, hey Daniela. All right, so let's get started with these earrings. I normally have a pair of earrings, like I have one of them ready to go, but I wanted to show you the full strands, so I don't have an earring ready to go, but the picture is there. So, all right, let's get you guys flipped around here. All right. All right, so let's take a closer look at these strands, and then let's make something pretty, shall we? So this is that smaller strand that I was showing you. It's not really smaller in length, but the beads on this guy are a little bit smaller. So if you don't like those great big huge beads, there's something for everybody always. There are some really beautiful things going on here. I love the bicones. They are really beautiful. And I'm telling you, the camera just does not do the Swarovski justice. because it's so much prettier in person. I wish you could see all the facets and how sparkly this stuff is. And then I love the addition of the rhinestone spacers. Those are pretty awesome too. All right, so there's that strand. We're going to cut that guy up and use him, and we're going to use part of this one. Now this is awesome. Not that the other strand isn't, but this one is pretty awesome because it has the addition of the Swarovski pearls, and you've got two sizes of pearls here. This one is like a really beautiful blue, and then this one is also blue, but it has that color shift that makes it like kind of purple, kind of blue, kind of pink, has a green. It really just kind of depends on the light. It's absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if you guys have ever worked with, Swarovski pearls before, but they are like top of the line when it comes to pearls. I have used lots of glass pearls in my jewelry designs over the years, and Swarovski does the best. A lot of glass pearls will chip, the color, you know, kind of chips off of them after a while, especially if you're hard on jewelry. I've not ever had that problem with the Swarovski pearls, so I definitely want to shout out to them for knowing what they're doing when it comes to pearls. Okay, so these are the two strands. Now let me show you the little pack here, just so you can see a little bit better. You can see there's this huge pendant in here. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever bought Swarovski individually, but the pendants themselves, like the larger pieces, they can be really, really expensive, you know, just to buy a single. So I'm pretty impressed that there's like this huge pendant in here with all the other Swarovski. So that's that top layer, and then the bottom layer you can see you've got like the charms, some starfish, and some wonderful Jesse James Beads tassels. There are some spacers I can see, and just a beautiful mix. And then like some Chinese crystals just to kind of extend the life of your Swarovski. Okay, lots of pretty stuff going on here. Really, really beautiful. Daniela says, Jesse James Beads, your quality is the best. Yes, absolutely. And when they put these mixes together, I mean, come on. Gosh, that's so pretty. So we're going to use these two strands. I'm not going to use that mini mix. It is very, very limited edition, the sky right here. All of them are limited edition, but there are only a few of these left. So if you guys want these, go ahead and grab them now. I'm not going to use them in this project just in case you can't buy them before they're all sold out. And good for you if you get them ahead of time, you guys, because they're awesome. All right, so I'm going to cut this strand apart. This is also going to give me a chance to kind of show you these guys up close, like individually. Look at that guy. This is one of my favorite shapes. I used to know what it's called. There is like an official Swarovski name for this guy, but I can't remember what it is. But if you'll notice, like on the bottom, it has like a little cup space there. So the beads, when you stack them together, look how perfectly, you know, they just sit together really, really well. When Swarovski does crystals, they take into consideration definitely all of those things, like how they're going to lay against other pieces. All right, so we're going to cut these apart, and I'm going to use a little bit of each from both strands. I'm just going to kind of, first of all, just check that out. In just a second, grab a sip of water, sorry. So we're definitely going to use these pearls. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all of those out. It would help if you guys could see those, right? All right, so here are those pearls we're going to use. So I'm going to sit these to the side. Look at that, they almost look purple when you sit them over just closer to the light. Gosh, they're so pretty. Then we're going to use the smaller pearls too. Let's sit those to the side. And let's see, let's use these bicones because they're gorgeous. I love the bicones. I've always been a fan of that shape. And then we're going to make some dangles. So let's pull some of these little round shapes as well. So these are going to be what we use, but you know, this earring you could make with any of these. So, or any project actually. All right, so I'm just going to kind of shuffle these over to the side just so that they are out of the way so we can get to it. Okay, so this is kind of a different earrings project. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to start out doing all of the dangles first, just to kind of get that out of the way, set them to the side, and then they'll be ready to go when we are ready to go. So we're going to be using some, let's see, we're going to use some head pins and some eye pins. And I will, let's see, I think I had that written down how many you're going to need. I just grabbed a handful. Okay, so eye pins and head pins. So I'm not using any wire per se in this design. We're just going to use the head pins and eye pins. So the first thing we're going to do is let's start with this top guy. It's going to be one of these really beautiful, if it would focus. There we go. One of these really beautiful large pearls with that color shift. We're going to thread this guy on to a eye pin, or an eye pin rather. My English is not so great this morning. The iridescence on the pearls shines through the video. Oh yes, you guys, you got to see these in person. They are so, so pretty. All right, so we're going to thread this guy on this eye pin, and you'll notice that the loop on this is going one direction. We want the loop that we're going to make on the top to go the other direction, okay, because that's just going to help us line everything up and keep us from having to use an additional jump ring later. All right, so all you're going to do, we're just doing a simple loop. We're not doing a wraps loop. You just want to bend that wire 90 degrees. You can use your pliers to do that. I just use my finger because I've got a good grip on this bead, okay? So I just bent that right over the top of the bead. Okay, I think if I move all the rest of this stuff out of the way, you guys, the focus will work. So give me just a second. It's like the iPad gets a little confused when there's a lot of things going on in the background. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay, so you can see I've bent that wire going in the opposite direction of what that bottom loop is. So now I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and I'm going to cut off, but I'm going to leave myself, that's like, to me, that's my finger's width, okay? Which is like a little more than 1/4 of an inch, probably closer to 1/2 of an inch. Just want to give yourself enough room so that you can make a wrapped loop here. We're going to use the round nose pliers and grab that wire right at the tip, and then we're just going to roll back towards the pearl, okay? Now, I do a lot of wrapped loops, I don't do a lot of these just simple loops because a lot of times mine tend to be wonky. So if yours are wonky, you are in good company. But there's that guy. So he's ready to go. He's got one loop going one way, you can see, and one going the other way. You guys, please forgive my fingernail polish. I was up late last night and, you know, it was the 4th of July, so I did not have time to fix them. They look pretty terrible, so I apologize. All right, so we're going to sit this guy to the side and we're going to make 3 more dangles because these guys are going to be on the chain at the bottom. So I've picked out these kind of flat oval shaped. They're not quite round. They're a little ovally, okay? We're going to put these guys on head pins. These guys are only going to be attached on one side. We're actually going to put these on the chain at the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread these guys on. And again, these are on head pins, so we don't have that bottom loop for these, okay? And again, we're just going to do simple loops because we're going to be opening these loops again to attach it to a piece of chain. And again, you can use your chain nose pliers if you want, but I'm just going to hold that bead and just bend that wire myself 90 degrees. And same thing, coming in, I'm going to cut off, but I'm leaving myself enough here to make a loop. Okay, round nose pliers, rolling back towards the bead, and you've got yourself a nice little loop. Okay, and we're just going to do that 2 more times, and then we're going to sit this to the side and start building our earring. Didn't make a really good bend with this guy. That's okay, no big deal. Okay. I'm so happy everybody has joined us this morning. Like I said, this video project has been moved around quite a bit. There's that loop. That one's not quite closed. All right. I never do this much talking before noon. So you know I love you guys when I'm here to show a project. before my second cup of coffee has really kicked in. All right, so there's that guy. Just bend it with my fingers, but again, you can do that with your chain nose pliers if it's easier for you. To me, it really just kind of depends on the bead, especially with smaller beads. If I have a hard time holding on to a smaller bead, I use my chain nose pliers to make that bend instead of just doing it with my fingers. All right, so we're going to roll back. Okay, so we've got a nice loop on this guy. All right, here's a virtual coffee for you. Yes, I need a virtual coffee. My mouth is so dry, I have to stop every few seconds. Grab some water. Okay, so we have all of our dangles, and now we're going to sit these to the side. I just wanted to get that part out of the way so that we could really focus on building the earring. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to take an eye pin. This is going to be the center of our earring. Now, like I said, I'm not using any wire here. I'm just using an eye pin, but if you wanted to use your own wire instead, you could cut a piece of 22 gauge wire, make a loop on the end. You'd need about 3 inches. Okay, so you don't have to have an eye pin. You certainly could do this with just your wire. Now we're going to thread our earring on. And actually, you know what? We're not going to thread. We're going to do one more thing. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Guys, that virtual coffee must be getting to me. Okay, so we're going to make these guys. I almost completely forgot. We would have had a hard time putting our earring together without these. So what I've got here is an eye pin, and I have made a loop on the opposite side. But as you'll notice, there's no beads here, and that's exactly what we want because this is going to be like a little stick spacer in our earring. Now, this is much shorter than an actual eye pin. I'll show you. Okay, this guy is about half the size of a regular eye pin. So what I have done is I have measured out an inch, and that does not include either loop. So when I say an inch, I'm talking about an inch of the straight section of wire between the loops. Okay, don't include your loop or your measurement's going to be a little bit off. Now, if you want a smaller earring, because this earring is going to be kind of big and kind of dangly, it's definitely a showstopper. If you want a smaller earring, you could cut this down in size just a bit. You know, I would go as far down as maybe a ½ inch and then make the loop. Now, this can be kind of, it's not really that it's difficult to do, it's just that it does take a little bit of finessing. You're going to need 4 of these, and so what I like to do is I like to go ahead and measure one, so I've got one that's the right size, and then I come in with my round nose pliers and I put them both on the pliers, just like this, okay? And then I come up here, right where that bend is in the wire, that's where I want my wire to bend, and it's really just easier for me to do it this way than it is to measure each one out. I took it off of the pliers once I got everything lined up, okay? Now I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers and I'm grabbing both of them really tightly right where that loop is, and you can see down here at the bottom we're nice and lined up. If you're not lined up, you're not going to get the same size, okay? And so now I've got exactly where I want the bend to be. This guy's going to slip out and I'm going to go ahead and bend the wire, okay? So that bend is in the exact spot that I want it to be. Then I'm going to come in, and just like if there were beads on this, we're going to trim that and then grab it with our round nose pliers and roll back to make a loop. Now my loop is a little off. It can be kind of, see this guy? He's just a tiny bit off. That's okay. No big deal. I'm not that worried about it. But what I end up with is 2 of these that are the same size. Now, like I said, you can measure these out yourself if you want to, but I just find that when I'm working and I'm trying to go a little quickly, it's easier for me just to line them up and make the bends, you know, all in a row. And you can do more. You can actually hold 2 or 3 of these at a time and do the bend. Okay, so like I said, you're going to need 4 of these guys to make our earrings. So we had to have those ahead before we start threading our earring together. So we're going to take an eye pin and we are going to thread on, let's thread on one of these bicones. They are so, so pretty. Okay, and then we're going to thread on one of these loops. Okay, so I've got one of these guys on here too. Okay, now we're going to thread on the smaller pearl. Okay, and now we're going to thread on another one of the loops. Okay, we're going to thread on the bigger pearl. This is going to be the guy that's in the middle. Okay, another one of our loops. And then we're just going to repeat with a smaller pearl. Our last loop and a bicone. All right, so we have all of this ready to go. Okay, and now we want to come down and to the end and make a loop here on the end. And we're not doing a wrapped loop, and we want to be sure that our loop is going in the same direction this time, okay? So when you grab it with your pliers, be mindful of what direction this loop here on the bottom is facing, because we want the loop over here to go the same way. We want these to match, okay? And I'm going to use my pliers this time, so I'm going to hold all of the beads in my fingers just to make sure everything is nice and tight. There's not any spaces here, and then I'm going to take that wire and just bend it 90 degrees. Okay, trim a little bit of this off. So we've got enough here to make a simple loop. Just rolling back. Okay, now you want to be sure, one thing that I have had happen to me is, and it happens quite a lot actually when I'm using eye pins, I'm sure it happens to you guys as well. The loops, if they're not closed, particularly this end loop that you start with, and that's usually the one that the manufacturer has done unless you've done it yourself. This loop down here sometimes is not closed all the way, and so when you thread all your beads on and then you make your 90-degree bend, you're pushing those beads against this open ring down here, and it will push it all the way open, and all your beads will slide down into the space here, and then this loop ends up being on the short side. You know, you don't have enough room. When you try to close this loop back up, you don't have enough room and you have to start over again. So just be mindful to check that bottom, especially if it's a manufacturer loop. Check that one and make sure that it is closed, okay, before you start threading anything on and getting everything together, because you don't want to have to start over again. Okay, so we have all of this ready to go. Now we're going to go ahead and attach some chain to this. I've got two short sections of chain and a long section of chain somewhere. I don't know what's happened to my chain. It's gotten pushed around here. Okay, so I have two sections, a really small cable chain. Now you can get tiny chain on the Jessie James Beads website. It's called bitty chain, and it really is itty bitty. All right, I'm going to make sure that both of these are the same length here before I get started, because I do have a longer piece of chain. I don't want to. Okay, so we've got two pieces of chain here. Now, when I'm working with small links of chain, just small little sections like this, depending on the design, I either go by a measurement or I will actually count the entire section, count each link, so that I'm sure that everything is what I want it to be. So these two short sections are 2 1/4 inches long, or 17 links long each. Okay, now that 17 links is not necessarily important on these pieces of chain, but when we're working with the bottom piece of chain, that number is going to be pretty important. We're going to do a little bit of math. I know it's way too early in the morning to be working with numbers, but we got to do it. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up the links, or I'm sorry, the loops here on the bottom. We're just going to open one at a time, and to do that, we're just going to grab it with our chain nose pliers and very gently open that up. And you'll notice I'm holding all those beads in place. I don't want them to slip down into that spot. So I've just opened this barely, okay? And we're going to take one of these pieces of chain. If I can grab it with my fingers. We're going to thread on that last link. Now, you guys are going to have to be patient with me because this is kind of far away from where I am, so a hard time seeing to get that. There we go. All right, so we've got that linked on there, and I'm going to close that loop. Now, if you wanted to, you could open up the link on the chain and attach it instead of opening the simple loop. It's really whatever is up to you. I know that using these little tiny pieces of chain, opening up each individual little link sometimes can be hard, especially to see. So that's why we're doing it this way. All right, figuring out which side is the open side. That's this guy. So we're going to open it just barely. Okay, just enough to thread that chain on. Okay, that's good. And now we're very carefully going to close that back. Okay, so now you've got this. This is what we're working with. Okay, so now we're going to attach all of this together. And in the original earrings, I used a 4mm jump ring. I'm going to use a 6mm jump ring for this project. If you guys want to use the 4mm, go right ahead, but I feel like this is a little bit easier for you guys to see. So I've got a 6mm jump ring. I'm just going to open it up. Okay. And then I'm going to thread everything on to this jump ring one at a time because I want to be sure that I don't get anything twisted. Karen, you thought this was at 1. Karen, my project for today, my regular Friday project is at 1. Jesse James Beads project today was at 10 a.m. because on Wednesday we tried to do the project and Facebook was just not agreeing with us. They were having major problems. All right, so, and of course Thursday was 4th of July, so everybody was off. All right, so I've thread on one end of the chain. Okay, now I'm going to thread on one of the loops. Okay, I'm going to thread on the next one. And like I said, I want to be sure that we're not getting anything crisscrossed here. But Karen, I'm glad you found us. It wouldn't be the same without you. All right, threading on the third one. Okay, threading on the fourth one. And now we're doing this last link of chain. And that was relatively easy, but with the 4mm jump ring, which is, like I said, what I used in the original project was a 4mm jump ring. It, for whatever reason, this piece of chain looks a little long. We might have to clip a link off of this. The 4mm jump ring, you know, it's just much smaller, so there's less room to work with. It will all fit on a 4mm jump ring, but I just felt like I didn't want to fight with it on air for you guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this chain piece looks a little long. I'm going to take him off. I'm going to close this jump ring just for a second because I don't want anything to fall off. I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to trim off one of those links. And you'll notice I'm just using my cutter tool to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to open this back up again and thread that chain on. Karen loves this design. Thank you, Karen. This was I don't know, not an earring design I've ever done before. A lot of the projects that I show you guys I've done previously. This one was a new one for me, but I just thought it was kind of cool. Okay, so now we might have to fight just a little bit now that I've made that chain link one short. Oh, nope, I got it first try. Pretty good. All right, so everything is linked on to this 6mm jump ring. Before I close the jump ring though, remember this pearl that we made that has loops on both ends, one going one way, one going the other way. Let's go ahead and thread him on because he's going to be our connection to our ear wire. Okay, so we're going to close this up. And now we've got the pearl up here at the top. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and attach your ear wire while we're at it. And I may have actually done this guy. Let's see. I think I might have done him the wrong direction. No, I didn't. It's just needs a little tweaking. All right, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and attach our ear wire to this, just so that we've got something to hold on to when we want to hold everything up and check it. So I'm just attaching that ear wire. Whoops, can't see what I'm doing, and you guys can't see it at all. There we go. Attaching my ear wire rather to the top. Okay. Now, one thing I'm noticing is with this 6mm jump ring, it's wanting to lay backwards, and that's just because there's a lot of extra space in the jump ring here. Once everything is hanging up, I think it'll be all right, but that's probably would have been, like I said, better to use the 4mm. But like I said, just for showing it to you guys, that 6mm, that's good to go. But I would recommend a 4mm here, okay? No worries. It's still going to be a beautiful earring. Okay, so now we're going to add a section of chain here to the bottom, but we're going to put some dangles on it first. Okay, so I'm just going to set this to the side for just a second, and I'm going to bring in the third piece of chain that I have here. Now, this third piece of chain, that doesn't look like the right one. Let's see. I had a couple of pieces cut. Here we go, this guy. So we have our third piece of chain here, and this guy is a lot longer than the other ones. I don't have the exact measurement on this, but I can tell you that this is 33 links long. Now, why is that important? It needs to be an odd number. The reason being, let me show you. I'm going to thread this onto this. Now, this is not part of the project. I'm just showing you. Okay, so I thread this on to something just to check. What I want and why I want an odd number is so that down at the bottom, there's a singular link. Okay, and that's going to mark the middle. So when I'm adding my dangles, everything's going to hang correctly based on finding the center of this chain. Okay, so you've got 33 links. You've got this center chain here. That is on the, what's the math there? That's on the 17th. I think that's on that's the 17th hole. Is that right? The 17th link? Like I said, it's really early to be doing math. Okay, so that's just if you wanted to go ahead and mark the center, but it also makes a big difference when it comes to how your chain is going to hang once you put the dangles on it. But we're going to lay this guy out flat just because it's easier to attach the dangles that way. And so when we do it this way, we're just going to count in, okay? So I have my dangles evenly spaced. So that's why I say it's very important to either count your lengths, you know, or measure out your spaces ahead of time. Now, your chain may not be exactly like mine. So when you're counting links, you're probably not going to do 33. All you need to be concerned with is that it is an odd number. Okay, so the first little link is going to be one of these smaller loops, or I'm sorry, smaller beads that we put a loop on earlier, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to open that loop very, very gently. Okay, now he is ready to thread on. We're going to count in. Now, like I said, it'll depend on your chain, but I'm going to count in so that this guy is in the right spot. I'm going to count in 10 links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the link that I want this guy to go on. Now, this is far away for me. So let's see. Let's try this again. I'm holding this, what I mean is I'm holding this farther away from my head, so I've got room for the camera here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It might be a little bit off, but that's all right. We're doing the best that we can here. All right, so I've hooked that in to what appears to be, from this distance, the 10th link. And then I'm just going to close that loop very, very carefully to not mess up the loop. You got to be careful when you're working with small chain and your loops there, because as you're opening that guy up to try to thread him on, you might pull that loop out of shape. All right, so that guy was 10 in. And now we're going to put this guy, this one's a little bit bigger. Okay, this is going to be the center bead. We're going to put him at the 17th link from the end. Okay, so I've opened him up. Now I counted in 10 for the last guy. I'm going to count down, let's see, 7 more. If I can hold this in my fingers. All right, 1, 2, try to put this where you guys can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, I dropped the bead. Hold on. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna hook him on if I can. There we go. So I've hooked him on. He's on number 17 in the links. I'm gonna close him back. So now when we attach all this, he's gonna be in the center, you can see, okay? So now we're gonna go 7 over and add 1 more little bead, and everything will be nice and spaced out. Okay, open it up. I'm gonna hold, using both hands here, trying to hold everything so you guys can see. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hook him on and then close him up. Now, once you hook your chain to your earring and you hold everything up, these may be hanging on opposite sides of the chain, and you may want to reopen them and reposition them, just so that everything kind of hangs the right way. You can see 2 of these are towards the back and 1 is towards the front. I may change that middle one in just a second, but you can't really tell until you get everything put together. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to attach this chain to the loops on either side of our earring here, and I'm gonna use 4mm jump rings for this, just because I don't wanna reopen this, because this guy is doing a lot right now. He's holding all of the beads. He's already holding a piece of chain. If I open him up, I risk everything coming out, okay? So a way to avoid that is just to add a 4mm jump ring, and the smaller the jump ring, the less noticeable it's gonna be. It's just gonna be like another piece of your chain here, okay? So the smallest jump ring you're comfortable with working with is the one I would recommend. Okay, so I've opened that jump ring, I thread on the end of our chain, and I'm going to thread it onto that loop, and I'm going to close him back. Lena says, I'm sold, bought some aquamarine, good for you. Oh my gosh, when you get these beads, you're going to be like, oh, I made the best decision. They are really super beautiful. All right, so we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. And actually, after this step, we're actually finished with our earring. But like I said, I'm going to kind of double check everything just to make sure that it's hanging the way that I want it to. So I'm taking another 4mm jump ring, thread that on to the very end, and then I'm going to come over here and attach it to this loop and close it back. And you guys, we've got an earring. Look how pretty. Isn't that awesome? Now, like I said, this is a big statement earring, and when you've got these on, it looks like my math was a little bit off. You guys forgive me. That's okay. Do as I say, not as I do. I tried to get those as even as I could from being in kind of an awkward position here as far as my length from my face and how I could see. But you get the idea, right? This guy needs to be in the middle. He's going to hang nice and long. And then these 2 on either side should be evenly spaced out. And you've got this really pretty earring. And you're showing off not only this beautiful aquamarine Swarovski, but these Swarovski pearls as well. And this one with that color shift. Oh, goodness, just good stuff. Okay, so I got off track here. What I was going to say is, if you wanted to make a smaller earring, you just want to shorten everything up, like I said before when we were talking about these guys. Instead of there being an inch of space here, you could make these 1/2 inch. Okay, so the bend in these would be right about here. You just shorten up your chain up here and shorten up your chain here, and you have a smaller earring, but you still have achieved the exact same look. Okay, super cool. You could really kind of go crazy with these. You could fill this whole bottom chain up with, hello, the rest of these Swarovski crystals. Yes, I think I might do that because I'm here for all of that sparkle and that bling. You could really make dangles and then just fill it all up and have an over-the-top, really beautiful pair of earrings. All right, so I'm gonna flip you guys around. Let's see here. Hi. All right, more is more. Daniela, you are that is my thoughts exactly. You're after my heart today. More is more and less is a bore. That's what I always say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you for coming and being with us early. this morning. I don't know, I kind of like this morning thing. It's nice to have everybody here and, you know, feeling fresh, and I'm all jacked up on coffee. I'm ready to go. Let's do 5 more projects, you guys. 2 things to mention before I go. I do want to show you guys, there are 2 tools that are now available on the Jessie James Beads website that are some of my favorite tools. I like them a whole lot, and I use them a lot, and I want to show them to you because you might be checking out the tools over there. And if you want to see projects with these guys, let me know, or let Sara know for sure. So these are the bracelet bending pliers. Turn my light out. There you go. You can see that a little bit better. You see this is a nylon center here, but you see how it's got that nice curve? So when you're making a bracelet, you put your wire in here and then you just kind of clamp this guy down, and it's going to help make a perfect bangle. We can do some bangle projects if you guys are interested in that. So you can get this guy at Jessie James Beads website. And then this is one that I recommended that Sara grab and put on the website because I use this all the time. So this is a inexpensive tool, but a great one to have in your arsenal. This is just a mandrel that you can use to wrap all of your wire around if you want to make loops. It comes with your handle here, and then you can change it out. The one that I have on it right now is the circles, and of course you can see I marked all of them by millimeters, so I know like which ones, what size. But then you can also attach these other mandrels to the top of it. This one is a square, and then you've got an oval and a triangle. So you can make your own jewelry findings. I use the round one probably the most, and the triangle one. Love them. You know, if you want to make hoop earrings, this is a great tool to have on hand, so you don't have to like look for something hanging around that's the right size. This has got a lot of size options for you. So just 2 kind of cool tools to check out on the Jessie James Beads website. Definitely take advantage of the red, white, and blue sale that's going on, 30% off. Pick up these tools while you're there, and definitely grab some of this amazing Aquamarine Swarovski. Limited edition. There's only a little bit of this left, so go ahead and grab that now. And more Swarovski, you say? Who doesn't love more sparkle? I love more sparkle. So last month, like I said, the psychology of color for last month was tangerine. And I didn't get these guys until right at the end of the month, so I didn't include them in my last project, which I should have done. But you guys know those earrings were super cool anyway. But I've got these tangerine strands, and I've got a mix of the tangerine as well. So over on my Facebook page, Sara Ellis Designs, I'm going to make a project using these tangerine Swarovski. Give the tangerine some love because it's absolutely beautiful, and it didn't get enough love. You can still get the tangerine over at the Jessie James Beads website, so go ahead and grab it too. If you're getting the aquamarine, go ahead and get the tangerine. It's a beautiful color. I'm going to make a project at 1 p.m. over on my Facebook, and I guess that's it. Oh, I was going to show you just real quick. Just a little teaser, okay? So if you guys want to join me again at 1 p.m., we're going to make another pair of earrings, okay? We're using more Jessie James Beads, more sparkle, all that stuff going on. I did see a question I wanted to answer right before. Let's see. Daniela says, which hammer set would you recommend? You know what? Let me drop a link as soon as I'm off here. I'll drop a link for you and show you which hammer I recommend. It's a nylon hammer. I like chasing hammers, but they change the shape of your wire. So there's a nylon hammer that is really, really good. I'll put the link for you and anybody else who wants to see it. And then the last thing, Jackie wants to know my Facebook again, Sara Ellis Designs. And I think Sara James may have added a link to it. If not, I will post a link to it as well. And that's it for me, at least for a couple of hours. I'll see some of you again. If not, we will be back to our regularly scheduled timing next week. Thursdays, 5 p.m. That's when you're going to get another great project using Jessie James Beads. And you guys enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. I will see you guys maybe in a little while or maybe next week. Bye guys. Have a great one.